This is a woman who's making a fur coat to help keep warm. She's using the fur and hide of the saber-toothed tiger the hunters killed last season. She's using needle made of bone and the muscle tendons of a caribou as thread to hold the coat together. Her job is a very important one for the survival of her family.
This is a hunter who is making weapons and other tools they will need to survive. Weapons and tools were important to them because they needed to hunt animals to get food to eat, and get fur to make clothing to keep warm so they wouldn't freeze to death. Another great discovery these early Americans made was the ability to make tools from things they found in the local environment. They used sticks and stones and the bone, tendons, and hides of animals they killed to make tools and weapons.
These early Americans have run out of food, so the hunters have to go hunting or they will starve. They have found a mammoth's track, so they plan to follow it in hopes of finding and killing the mammoth. A mammoth is very hard to kill. It is about 5 meters or 16 feet tall at the shoulder and weighed about 6 to 8 tons or 12,000 to 16,000 pounds.
The hunters follow the mammoth's tracks for hours until they are ready to give up and return to camp. Suddenly they hear a noise in the distance. After a hard battle, the hunters kill the mammoth. They will butcher the mammoth and take the meat, bones, and fur back to their camp.
They went back to the camp and made fire because the campfire was out. They cooked the mammoth meat on the campfire to enjoy it with the berries they just gathered.
About 10,000 years ago, when the big Ice Age animals died out, the hunters had to find new sources of food. Some people became gatherers where they went out looking for nuts, wild fruits, and berries. Some hunters started to hunt smaller animals.
Since smaller animals like rabbit and deer are harder to hunt, it was harder for hunters to find them. Dogs have a really strong sense of smell, so the hunters used dogs to help them find the small animals. This made hunting a lot easier. Farmers used dogs to hunt small animals in the woods. They also used dogs to protect the village, so wild animals wouldn't come into the village.
Around 7,000 years ago, people started to learn how to plant seeds. Some of the first crops the farmer made were squash, chili, and corn. They used sticks to make the holes in the ground. The farmers then dropped the seed in the hole, and then the farmer covered the hole with dirt. When it was necessary, they would water or weed the area.
When farmers learned to grow crops, they didn't have to go out and find berries and things as much, since they could grow much of their own food. The people grew more crops as they learned more about farming. Corn was the most important crop. The farmers learned how to grow corn in deserts, rainforests, and also in high mountains. The farmers built permanent houses near their fields. More people came into the villages, then even more people, until the villages turned into mini cities. Around 6000 BC, the early Americans learned to domesticate animals. Domesticating animals is keeping animals in pens or tied up in their villages so they wouldn't run away. The benefit of this is so the early Americans wouldn't have to spend so much time hunting.
Since people didn't hunt as much now, people had more time to learn how to make things. Some things people might make were clay pots, clothes, or weed basket. When people spent so much time making one thing, they became experts. This is called specialization. This woman's family specialized in growing corn, and she is trading with a man who specialized in weaving baskets.
During the last ice age, around 70,000 years ago, cold weather caused much of the ocean's water to freeze in glaciers. This exposed the ocean's floor between Siberia and Alaska, creating a land bridge that is known as Beringia.
Beringia was filled with lush grass and fresh water. Many types of animals roamed this passageway, feeding on patches of grass. Hunters followed these herds of animals to get fresh meat for their families.
Around 10 to 15,000 years ago, the Earth's temperature started to warm back up, and the glaciers started to melt. This caused Beringia to flood.
About 7,000 years ago, farming began, and people started to domesticate animals. This caused humans to stay in one area and not move around all the time. They had more time to become experts in trades such as farming, building homes, making clothes, and even creating art. And these people became the Native Americans that we know of today.